If I ever took a loss, I learned a lesson. I won't ever think I'm better than the next man. I've been down before to come up, I ain't stressing. Baby, I'm too busy counting all these blessings. Canada. Line 'em up. Swear the sun shining on me, get my heart up, no matter that trouble surrounding us.
What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to WDRB Media, the voice of the community, the only station bringing you double the information and the inspiration. You are now tuned in to the MTB Radio Show with me, your host, MTB. And today on our show, we have a topic of discussion. We're going to be talking about the Colin Kaepernick situation and all the things regarding the Colin Kaepernick situation. As far as you know, there's a boycott from the African American community against the NFL. And so we're going to be talking about some of those things here on our show. I just want you to know that today's show is being brought to you by Abundant Life Ministries of Gastonia at 1910 East Ozark Avenue, Abundant Life Ministries, under the direction of Pastor Terrence Austin and Pastor Janicia Austin. Abundant Life Ministries, where we are living life elevated. So right before we get into our topic of discussion, again, we're talking about a lot of things concerning the Colin Kaepernick situation. Before we jump into that, let's jump into some music real quick, and then when we come back from our short music break, we'll jump right in to our discussion on the Colin Kaepernick situation and how it affects and the different ways it has to do with the African American community. You're tuned in to the MTB Radio Show with me, your host, MTB, on WDRB Media, the voice of the community, the only station giving you double the information and the inspiration.
Let yourself go. I belong to you. Every step I do, I belong to you. Always with you. I belong to you. We've got a clue for all the love in our life. We've got a clue for all the love in our life. I belong to you. Every step I do, I belong to you. Always with you. I belong to you. We've got a clue for all the love in our life.
Welcome back, everybody, to the MTB Radio Show with me, your host, MTB, on WDRB Media, the voice of the community. And today's topic of discussion, we're going to be talking about Colin Kaepernick and this whole situation concerning the boycott that is going on from the African American community concerning the NFL. If you have not heard or you're not aware of the situation, what happened was that NFL player by the name of Mr. Colin Kaepernick took a knee majority of last season. He took a knee during the national anthem in protest, saying he did not agree with the national anthem, and his protest was to bring awareness to the injustices that was happening in the African American community, mainly with the shooting and killings of African Americans and persons going free, law enforcement personnel going free without any charges or anything being brought against them. And so in response, this particular NFL season, at the start of this season, a lot of African Americans have gotten together in their own protests in a boycott against the NFL. What that means is that a lot of persons have agreed to not watch the NFL games, not to attend the NFL games, not to go to any of the sites or internet access to the NFL, no going back streaming and watching the games later on, not checking the scores or anything concerning with the NFL, in hopes that the NFL will understand that the African American community is backing up Mr. Colin Kaepernick, and that we're in support of his protest, and we are protesting as well, saying that we don't agree with the injustices that have taken place in our community, and we're supporting Mr. Colin Kaepernick, who the NFL has now blackballed because there are several opportunities for Mr. Colin Kaepernick to have an NFL job in which he does not at this current time, in which there are several NFL teams that could use a player like Colin Kaepernick, but they refuse to hire him. They refuse to put him on their roster, even though they've had several opportunities to give him an opportunity to be a part of their team. And so, the only explanation there is, which they have not publicly said, but the only explanation is that, they don't agree with his protest, in which case you don't agree with the African-American community, who largely supports your business, who largely supports your teams and your players and your coaches. You don't believe that the injustices that we say are wrong. You basically saying that they are right. You are not in agreement with us. And so we are boycotting. Many people are boycotting the NFL. I myself have chose to participate in the boycott of the NFL. And what I really want to discuss today is that I'm very surprised, I'm very shocked at how many people in the African-American community are not participating in the boycott. I'm very shocked. And maybe I shouldn't be shocked, but I am shocked at how the African-American community is divided on this subject. And so what I want to talk about today, I want to ask the question, why is it so difficult for Black people to believe that we can make a difference? Why is it so difficult for Black people to believe that we can make a difference? Why is it that I'm seeing on social media posts and things of that nature, a lot of African Americans saying that the boycott against the NFL would do us no good, that it will not bring attention to the situations of the shootings at the hands of the police to unarmed African American males and females, that, Colin Kaepernick's boycott, his protest of taking the knee has gotten him, blackballed. So now he doesn't have a job, saying that it won't do any good, that, none of this is going to benefit. I even had people who are friends of mine, people who are close to me, who have said throughout social media and things like that, that they would support the boycott, but they don't see a point in it. And I'm shocked by this. And maybe I shouldn't be shocked, because after I think about it, I think about, let's just say, in the last 5 years, and all the protests and the marches and things that we've had concerning the injustice of the issues that we've had, the problems we've had with police shooting unarmed men and women. Maybe I shouldn't be surprised at how our community is divided on this simple protest or this simple boycott on the NFL. I shouldn't be surprised, because if I think about it, all the protests and the marches that we have had concerning the shootings, concerning the injustice towards the African American communities, all these things have been short-lived. On average, when there's a shooting in the African American community, we come together and we march, we protest, and it's about 2 weeks long. So on average, 2 weeks, we stand up and we talk about the injustice, and we're excited and we're enthusiastic about making change. And 2 weeks later, it's on to the next. Now, somebody help me out. If I'm wrong, please correct me, and I will, acknowledge the correction. But in my personal opinion, the only real stance that I know of for us as African Americans is the civil rights movement. That's why in the last few years, every time there's a protest, every time there's a shooting of some sort, and we come together and we're supposed to protest, we stand strong for about 2 weeks, and then it's over. We don't deal with it no more. So the only reason that I can see that the only real stance that we ever had has been the civil rights movement. That's why so many people during these last few years, we always revert back or comment or refer back to the civil rights movement, because we don't have a movement of our own. Our people, this day and age, these generations that we're living in now, don't want to stand up, don't want to stand together, do not want to support each other. So that is why, I shouldn't be shocked at how many people are divided on this particular topic. Something as simple as standing together in a boycott, to just, stand together and support a man who took a stance for us, a celebrity who took a stance and used his platform as a celebrity to take a stance for the average African American. Because remember, the people who getting shot are average African Americans. They're not celebrities. They're not high profile NFL players. They're not high profile millionaires. These are average people who live in average communities that are being shot and you have a celebrity who has taken a stance and as a result has been blackballed from his career because he took a stance for the average African American. The sad thing about all of this is that the NFL is made up of 70% of African Americans as far as players go. And then there's a few number of African Americans who are coaches and assistant coaches and things of that nature, trainers and whatnot. But watch this, not one African American owner in the NFL. So we have men and women who are owning NFL teams, who are millionaires several times over, even to the point of billionaire status, who are owning NFL teams, who have become rich beyond our wildest dreams that we could ever imagine. But they have become rich off the work and the success of African Americans, which the league is over 70% African Americans. So it's sad to say that the NFL as a whole is majorly ran by African Americans, but we are too afraid as African Americans to rock the boat, even as fans. I'm not even just talking about players. I'm just talking about even as fans, we're afraid to rock the boat. We're afraid to stand up and say, you know what, I'm not going to participate in anything concerning the NFL. I'm not going to participate in anything that a company, a league that won't acknowledge the racial injustice when we're 70% of us that make up this league. You won't even acknowledge it. So my boss, my supervisor, the owner of my team won't even acknowledge the injustice in my community. The person that I work for, the person that I go out here and put my life in jeopardy for, I can be paralyzed. I can have my neck broken. I can have several things happen to me. And for a paycheck, for a couple of years on an NFL football field, breaking my back, I'm not willing to sit down. I'm not willing to boycott because we too afraid to rock the boat. When truth be told, the NFL wouldn't exist or be as big of a business as it is if it were not for African Americans. As I said earlier, I support Colin Kaepernick, and I think it's a great thing that he is doing. I think it's a great thing that he has followed through with everything that he said that he was going to do, with all of his support and donations that he's given, over millions of dollars to different organizations that support the African American community, that are standing up for the injustice that are going on in the African American community. I salute him and I support Colin Kaepernick. But let's just be real. As much as I support Colin Kaepernick, everybody that's an African American does not feel this way. So it's a great thing that Colin Kaepernick has started, and we're seeing other players starting to follow suit. Some players now are still taking a knee during the national anthem. But the problem is that we didn't all stand together from the very beginning. If we had all took a knee at the very beginning, if everybody had came together in protest at the very beginning, the results would have been different. But because Colin Kaepernick made a decision and he went out there on the limb by himself, and nobody stood with him, none of his NFL players didn't support him the way they should, the community didn't support him the way they should, now he's in a bind. Now he's a player who doesn't have the opportunity to play on an NFL team. He's been blackballed. A man who's physically able to do his job. He's physically able to go out here and play football, but he's not allowed to because of the powers that be, because of the white men and women who own the NFL, who would not even give him a chance. They have blackballed him. Now, that's a great thing that he has done, but let's be realistic. This ain't like the movies. Y'all remember the movie Rudy? This ain't like the movie Rudy, where they said, well, look, we're not going to play Rudy. So all the players went in there and turned in their jerseys and said, well, coach, we're not going to play if you don't play Rudy. It ain't like that in the NFL. It ain't like that in the real world. People ain't cut like that. People ain't standing together like that. People not going to support each other like that. We support people in silence, behind closed doors. We don't want to step out and rock the boat and be in the public eye. So it's a great thing that Colin Kaepernick has done. It's a great thing that he has started. But when you go out there on the limb by yourself, it's sad to say that the African American community is not going to stand with you. So, everybody don't feel that way. Everybody don't feel the way I do. Everybody don't feel as strongly as I do, and that's okay. So, our time's almost up here, so we're going to wrap this up, my little rant for today concerning the Colin Kaepernick situation. We'll pick this up next week as well concerning the Colin Kaepernick situation. Anybody want to comment on any of this, please feel free to contact me through my social media, Minister T Breeze, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also contact me through email at MTB Radio, WDRB at gmail.com. Anybody that wants to leave a comment concerning the show, we will pick this topic up next week, and I will be gladly to read your comments and address any comments that you have here on the air. You are listening to the MTB Radio Show with me, MTB, on WDRB Media, the voice of the community, the only station bringing you double the information and the inspiration. Until next time, y'all stay blessed. Remember to tune in next week, Friday, same time, 11:30 a.m., MTB Radio. And remember, this has been the realest 15 minutes of your week. Y'all stay blessed.
If I ever took a loss, I learned a lesson. I won't ever think I'm better than the next man. I've been down before to come up, I ain't stressing. Baby, I'm too busy counting all these blessings.
Count it up. Now I'm